When you think of the greatest Chicago Bulls ever, who comes to mind? Of course, you have the greatest player of all time in Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Derrick Rose, and so on. But it takes multiple players before you get to a guy like Luol Deng, the guy who's top 5 in minutes played, field goals made, points, steals, and top 10 in many other categories for the Chicago Bulls franchise. But it seems like we are so quick to forget the greatness of a guy like Luol Deng, when many total stats and accolades would indicate that he deserves to get his jersey retired by the Chicago Bulls in the near future. But I'm here to say that that isn't right. What's going on, guys? SMH Super Mario Hoops back with some more hoops, and today I'm here to discuss the fact that Luol Deng is underrated. Now let's start from the beginning of his NBA career. Now in the 2004 NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns selected Luol Deng with the 7th overall pick, and he was traded for Jackson Vroman and a 2005 first-round pick that became Nate Robinson. Now let's pause real quick. This isn't related at all to what we're going to be talking about, but just think about a Suns team with Luol Deng around a squad like Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion, Quentin Richardson, Joe Johnson, and all those guys. But that might be a video for another day. Now, he was a starter for the Chicago Bulls at the beginning and made noise by way of being first-team All-Rookie in 2004-2005. Now, the next year was a bit weird because they had Andres Nocioni being the true starting small forward, and Deng came off the bench when both were healthy and in the playoffs. But for his first 2 seasons, he averaged 13 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, 2 assists per game, which is pretty solid. But after losing 4-2 to the Miami Heat in the first round of 2006, who, by the way, became champions later that postseason, Scott Skiles knew that they needed to make a change in the next season. And that change was Luol Deng becoming the full-time starter the next season, where he averaged 19 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, about 2.5 assists a game, and about 1.2 steals per game on 52% from the field, which is very good efficiency. And not only did they come back the next year and get revenge on the Miami Heat, who were the defending NBA champs, but they swept them. They swept the defending NBA champions in the first round, and largely due to the play of Luol Deng, who averaged 26 points per game, 9 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game, 2 steals a game, and shot 58% from the field, and completely outplayed NBA All-Stars and Hall of Famers on the other side, such as Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal. And it's not like the Bulls squad was really spectacular either. Of course, you have Ben Gordon, who was very solid. He averaged about 25 points per game in that series. But other than that, the main players were Kirk Hinrich, P.J. Brown, Andres Nocioni, and Ben Wallace. By that time, were solid players, but by no means were they really great. Now, they would lose in the next round, 4-2 to the Detroit Pistons, but Deng still averaged about 20 points per game, 9 rebounds a game, 2 assists a game, on 48% from the field. Of course, the next season was a bit rough for the Bulls, but much of that was due to the injuries to Luol Deng and the moving pieces in and out all year long. Eventually, as we know, they would get fortunate and get the first pick in the NBA draft, where they would select the hometown hero, Derrick Rose. And Deng, being victim of Achilles tendonitis, missed about half of the next season as well as the playoffs. And the Bulls still took the defending champion Boston Celtics to 7 games that series. Now, granted, Kevin Garnett was injured, but with Deng healthy and every game in that series being very close except for about Game 3, there's a good chance that they win that series. Now, over the next 4 seasons, Luol Deng would average 17 points per game, 6.5 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game, shot 44% from the field and 35% from 3. However, don't let this fool you, because Deng was placed in a different role and one that people don't really give him that much credit for. He still led the league in minutes per game over those years while being placed on the toughest matchup night in and night out, such as guys like LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Additionally, Luol Deng's being asked to score about 17 points per game, basically a second option for the Chicago Bulls squad. In fact, he was being asked to do so much that he led the league in minutes per game for 2 seasons, averaging about 39 minutes per game in those 2 seasons combined. Now, in his final year in Chicago, he was having a career season actually. 19 points per game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. But ultimately, they weren't looking to pay him in the offseason, and they put their eggs into a guy like Jimmy Butler, which to an extent was a solid move. But even Butler has credited that he wouldn't be the player that he is today without the guidance of a player like Luol Deng to help drive him. After an average half season in Cleveland by his standards, Deng went on to play with the Miami Heat for 2 years, where in those 2 seasons he put up about 13 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, 2 assists a game, on 46% from the field and 35% from three. Now, the first year was a bit of a wash with all the injuries to Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, along with multiple trades, but the 2016 playoffs is arguably one of the most underrated parts of Luol Deng's career. Now, many remembered that Miami Heat versus Charlotte Hornets series where D. Wade was going up against what's known as the purple shirt guy, and we see it as the last glimpse of a prime Wade. But I'm sure most of you didn't know that Luol Deng averaged just as many points per game, more rebounds a game, shot better from the field, and shot a high volume of three-pointers on 51% of them being makes compared to Dwayne Wade that series. All on a usage percentage rate of 21% compared to Wade's 32%. So while Wade was spectacular, and we have to give him a ton of credit for that, nobody ever talks about how great Luol Deng was in that series, and he was phenomenal. And yes, they did lose to Toronto in the second round in 7 games, but it's just amazing how quick people are to forget about Luol Deng. When he was overpaid by the Lakers and treated wrong from the coaches by way of playing 1 game the second year till basically being cut off, how can you hate Luol Deng for that? And in his last season with the Minnesota Timberwolves, he still put up 7 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, about an assist a game, on 50% from the field in about 17 minutes a game, which in per 36 stats is very similar to his career average. In the end, Luol Deng was one of the more overlooked star players of the last 15 years or so, and we've gone too long without giving him the credit he deserves. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I like doing these videos. I'm trying to keep them very short, sweet, and to the point, so hopefully this one doesn't drag on too long. And if you guys have any ideas for NBA topics that you want me to analyze down in the future, then be sure to comment them down below, and I'll be sure to check all the comments. But yeah, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.